So let us talk about cortisol and its release inside our body. The release of cortisol is controlled by a negative feedback mechanism involving the hypothalamus and anterior pituitary. Low plasma cortisol levels result in the release of corticotrophin, which is also known as ACTH, which is going to stimulate cortisol synthesis and release in the body. Well, how is this cortisol release is going to be stimulated? Well, the simple mechanism involves the activation of adenyl cyclase. Adenyl cyclase is an enzyme with key regulatory roles in essentially all kinds of cells. This adenyl cyclase is going to convert ATP into cyclic AMP, and cyclic AMP or cyclic adenosine monophosphate then activates protein kinase A, which phosphorylates and increases the activity of cholesterol ester hydrolase. Cholesterol ester hydrolase is an enzyme that is responsible for the steroid synthesis. So that's how the regulation of cortisol takes place. Aldosterone release is affected by ACTH as well, but other factors, for example, renin-angiotensin system or plasma potassium, are more important for its release, so we're not going to talk about it in detail. Now, what is missing over here? We haven't discussed about corticotropic releasing hormone and ACTH yet. Well, corticotrophin releasing hormone is a 41 amino acid polypeptide whose action is enhanced by arginine vasopressin. It is produced in the hypothalamus and reach the adenohypophysis in the hypothalamo-hypophyseal portal system, where it stimulates the release of corticotrophin. So what is ACTH then? ACTH is processed from a large molecular weight precursor that is known as pro-opiomelanocortin, POMC, present in the corticotroph cells of the adenohypophysis. Its main action is to stimulate the synthesis and release of cortisol. POMC also contains the sequences for beta-lipotrophin, which is also known as BLPH, and beta-endorphin, which are concomitantly released into the blood. Corticotrophin is also believed to sensitize the zona glomerulosa to other stimuli that cause aldosterone release. For example, low plasma sodium, high plasma potassium, angiotensin II, etc. etc. If you want to watch a detailed lecture on ACTH, then you might as well look into sqadia.com. There's also a detailed lecture on ACTH, so do check that out as well. Why did we discuss cortisol only? Why is it so important in the body? Well, think of cortisol as nature's built-in alarm system. It's your body's main stress hormone, and it works with certain parts of your brain to control your mood, motivation, and fear. Cortisol plays an important role in a number of things that include managing of your body with the use of carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. It also keeps the inflammation down. It's going to regulate your blood pressure and as well as your blood sugar level. And it's going to control your sleep and wake cycle. And it will also boost energy so that you can handle stress and restore balance afterwards. So that's why it's a really important hormone to discuss. Now you must know that what happens if there is too much cortisol or too less cortisol in the body. Well, let's talk about too much cortisol first. So if a nodule in your adrenal gland or a tumor in the brain's pituitary gland is formed in the body, so it leads to production of more cortisol in the body. And this is going to lead to a condition known as Cushing syndrome. You must have heard about this term frequently related to cortisol. But if there is too little cortisol in the body and it does not make enough cortisol, then it's going to lead towards Addison disease. So you need to remember that these two diseases are related to the cortisol release. So it's a really important steroid in our body. So now that we have discussed about cortisol, let us move towards the target tissues that it's going to bind with. So stick around.